Welcome back, ladies, to another episode of Dream, Heal, Thrive. I am Monet Farco, and today we are diving into a conversation that I know will hit home for so many of you. I know it hits home for me, and that's healing after heartache. If you have ever felt like your world was just shattered after a breakup, first of all, you're not alone. But whether it's a breakup, divorce, or any other kind of loss, sometimes we lose our jobs and our hearts are broken because we were so connected to that identity that we had in that job. There's a lot of different things that we feel this type of heartache over. So we're talking to you and we're talking about turning that pain now, though, into power, right? Becoming empowered through the pain that we experience and that we process and move through. So, because, my love, you are not meant to stay broken, not at all.
And I am Charisse Reed. Listen, heartbreak hurts. We know this, but it doesn't have to define you. So today we are going to unpack how to rebuild, rediscover your power, and thrive after the pain. Last week we had an insightful, and the conversation was so good, with Samantha Gregory, where we dove deep into healing from heartbreak and transforming that pain into personal power. Your comeback story is waiting to be written, and it's all about you. So let's go.
First discussion point for this topic is recognizing the impact of heartbreak. So the first thing let's talk about is actually acknowledging the pain. So often we're like, I don't have time for this. I got to keep it going, keep it moving. I'm good. I'm great. I got this. No, sis. We don't got this sometimes. Sometimes we don't got this.
Yes.
And we have to be able to acknowledge the pain that we're experiencing, because if we don't, we just suppress it and keep packing it in and packing it in and packing it in. You know what? It's going to come out. But instead of you being intentional about how it comes out and how you process it, it's just going to explode one day. And it's going to make a mess all over you, all over your life. And you don't want that, right? So we want to be able to acknowledge the pain, because heartbreak, it's not just emotional, it actually affects our confidence levels sometimes. It affects our dreams. Sometimes we feel like, oh my God, I'm never going to reach that goal. I'm never going to have that relationship that I really desire. I'm never going to have that job, that business, whatever our dreams are. Sometimes it really makes us feel defeated. And so it affects our dreams sometimes, and it affects our outlook on our lives. Sometimes it can be really, it can depress us. It can make us other than ourselves to just really feel that kind of pain. But we have got to acknowledge it, and then we can do something about it.
Absolutely.
And then we have different forms of heartache, right? So it's not always about romantic relationships. It's the loss of, like I said earlier, it could be a friendship that you are going through, a breakup of a friendship, a career that you've lost and didn't work out the way you thought it would. Just any kind of unmet expectation really can break our hearts. And so it's really being very clear on when the heartache occurs, regardless of the situation, right? Not just pigeonholing heartbreak for romance, understanding that we experience heartbreak in all different aspects of our lives. It's really around those things, those unmet dreams, hopes, and expectations, a lot of times, is what causes heart.
And sometimes the friendship breakups are worse than the romantic ones. You share so much and you open your heart up even more, with the romantic relationships, it's a little still guarded because you still want them to see you in this perfect light. But with the friendships, you get deep, deep. But breaking up from a friendship sometimes breaks your heart even deeper than a romantic one.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Especially some of those friendships go way back,
Right. Different stages in your life.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah. We also want to make sure that we give ourselves permission to grieve the heartbreak. Healing starts with acknowledging that pain. You really don't have to rush the process. You want to give yourself as much time as you need to actually process all the emotions, right? Charisse was saying it could be all kinds of emotions that we experience during a heartbreak, and acknowledging them, recognizing them, and then we can figure out what we want to do with them. But if we don't give ourselves permission to grieve in whatever way is natural for us, then we're going to be carrying that along with us into our next relationship, our next job, our next friendship, right? We don't want to do that. We do not want to do that. We want to be able to process all of that and be able to move forward. So do not rush your process.
Yeah, and that's so important to just allow yourself to process it. I think we want to rush through things, or just life is lifing, and you're going to the next thing, and you have things going on a daily basis that you don't allow yourself to sit in it for a minute and just
Mhm.
process it. I had to do that this week, and it was difficult. One minute I was crying and having a breakdown, and then, a couple hours later I was laughing about some fun things that me and
Mhm.
that person may have talked about or laughed about. So it's just, allowing yourself to grieve, but over the relationship, but also processing it, allowing yourself to feel the feelings. And so how do we turn that pain into power?
Mm.
And the first thing we're going to talk about is reframing your narrative. Your heartbreak isn't the end of the world, believe it or not. It may feel that way, and you may feel like everything around you is crashing all at once, but it's not. It's actually a plot twist. What
Mhm.
happens next? It's really up to you. How do you want to look at this? How do you want to think about this? Is it something that destroys you, or is it something that rebuilds your life? It's up to you of how you reframe that.
I love that. I love that. Like seeing it not as the end, right? It's just a plot twist. Things just didn't work out the way we thought they were going to work out. But what's next, right? Really being ready for the next, looking at the next chapter. You have an opportunity now to pivot, do some healing. Maybe there's some lessons in that to make you bigger, better, stronger for that next chapter. I love that, Charisse.
It's identifying the lessons and the loss. Some things happen, we don't understand it, and it may not even be for us to understand why it happened at that moment, but it happened, and you have to say, what did I learn from this? What did I learn about
Mhm.
myself? What did
Mhm.
I bring to the relationship? What was it about the relationship? What did you learn from this? Because
Mhm.
believe it or not, if you don't listen to the lesson and really identify it, you're going to be
Hello.
taking a lap over and over again, wondering why
Hello.
deja vu. Been here before.
Minute. Familiar.
In there where you like, man, this show feel familiar. And that's because you don't learn from the lesson from what you were going through. So you still picking the same type of man. You're still sick, seeking out the same things because you haven't allowed yourself to one process, like you
Mhm.
said, but also just what did I learn from that loss, that breakup I had? How did it affect me? Does it, the heartbreak reveals what you truly need, what you
Mhm.
value, and what you deserve. So learning from it, what did you learn?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, it's very true. It's very true because we don't want this heartbreak to be for nothing, right? And the thing we do a lot of times is we make it all about the other person, right? Especially in a romantic relationship. We break up, she, whatever was horrible. They did this and they, we bedevil that other person. But you know what? We were in it too. So it's so important. You can't do anything about what the other person did. No control over that. All we can do is control ourselves. So what are my lessons for me? How did I show up in ways that maybe I shouldn't have? What could I do differently going forward in this? It's so important, Charisse.
Yeah, and when you identify the lessons in that loss, it shows accountability. That's growth. When you can look at
Mhm.
yourself and say, what did I do? It's not
Mhm.
about them, but what did I do? What was my responsibility in this? Because
And
we
that
all
takes
have
that
a part.
power. Yeah. And then you get your power back, right? It's not,
Hmm.
if you make it all about the other person, you've handed over your power. You are powerless now. There's nothing you can do. You're just the victim of this.
Yes.
No, let's empower ourselves. What can I do differently?
Yes. And speaking of the power of reflection, you want to reflect on that, asking yourself, who am I now? Because
Hmm.
going into that relationship, you may have defined yourself differently. And coming out of that heartbreak and learning that lesson, okay, what am I, who am I now? What do I
Hmm.
want moving forward? How do I want my life to look like? What do I want my next relationship to look like?
Yes. Yeah. I think that point of self-reflection is just so important because I know for me, when I was grieving the death of my partner, I really I was ready to get out and meet people, right? But and because it had been a full year and I was just ready to get out and meet people. I wasn't necessarily looking for a relationship, but one came to me and I hadn't taken that pause to just say, who am I now, right? You're forever different when you have a significant breakup or you have a loss like I encountered. So it's so important for that point of self-reflection to really see, where am I now? Who am I? What is it that I want now? What's important to me now? Because we are forever changed. So we have got to acknowledge those changes in us and choose from there, right? Not choose from who we were before.
And you know I'm a goofball. So we talk about, that self-reflection. I say, okay, I'm ready to date. So the last relationship I had, or sort of kind of relationship, it was a little wacky. So I think in some ways it made me shell shocked. So I say I'm ready to date again. So I don't particularly like dating apps, but I haven't got out much. So I said, let me try it again. When I say I was so disappointed, I was so disappointed. I was just like, no, I can't do this. But what it really is, and you brought this to my attention, when you write down and you think about what type of relationship you want to manifest, when you're in the wrong spot to find it, or you're not where you need to be because you're manifesting the type of relationship you want, it's not going to feel good. So I
Mhm.
realized on this dating site and I'm not happy because these are not any of the men that are in alignment with what I'm trying to manifest. So
Mhm.
I'm different now. I'm trying to manifest the man of who I want to be with in a relationship with, and I'm different than the person I was going into the previous relationship.
Yes.
So that self-reflection is deep. Like,
Yes, it
oh,
really is. Cannot you can bypass it, but if you do, it's just not going to be the same. It's just not going to be the same because you're going to end up with, again, out of alignment with what you really want for your life. But you'll feel the pain.
I was like, it was like a aha moment. I was like, I was in the car with my daughter, and I was like, I understand why I'm not happy there because I'm not supposed to be there. These are not the type of men I want in my
Right.
life. So I'm not going to be satisfied with them because what I'm trying to manifest is nothing is in alignment with it.
Right.
So once you start writing it down, once you start thinking about this is what I want, once you start speaking it, everything else looks foreign. It's like, no, I don't belong here. I'm in the wrong spot. It's like taking a wrong turn. I'm like,
Right. Right.
I'm
But the
good.
thing is that, see, we're talking about it from a perspective of empowerment. How many of your friends have come to you and said, ain't no good men out there? I keep meeting this person that they all like, no, ma'am, you didn't get clear on
Yeah.
what it is that you want to manifest in your life. You didn't get clear on that picture. So you're attracting all kinds of things, right?
Yep.
You're going to attract all kinds of things, and they're not going to feel like you said, Charisse, like they're on point.
Yeah.
But once you get clear and you take the power back, right? Then you
Absolutely.
can start attracting what it is that you really want in your life.
You got it.
Okay, let's talk about some healing steps. We want to really look at our self-care as a healing strategy because we really want to start rebuilding from the inside out. It's one thing to get our bodies in shape, get our hair right, get new clothes, makeup, got it all right. But if we don't do that inside self-care, it's still not going to land right. We're still going to be attracting things that we don't want. We're not really going to be, completely healing ourselves. So it's really about our mind, our body, and our spirit, making sure that we have healing strategies for all of that. Like looking at your mental wellness. How am I doing? Like, am I having a lot of anxiety? Am I feeling a lot of depression? What are these emotions that I'm feeling? Start taking some steps to really help, whether you need to find a good therapist to help you work through some of these things. Sometimes our feelings get so entangled, it's hard to detangle all of it on your own. But, there's also books out there that can help us to figure out how to practice better self-care with our mental wellness. And then also taking care of our bodies because the grief we're feeling sometimes shows up as aches and pains or ailments, right? Stomach aches and other issues that we start to see ourselves experiencing. And we have to pay attention to our bodies, listen to your body, and start practicing better self care. Maybe you need to change your eating habits. Maybe you need to exercise a little more, get your body moving. A lot of times, moving our body helps us shift it in all areas, not only feeling good physically, but mentally as well.
Yeah.
Like, what are you doing for your spirit? We all have different beliefs. A lot of times when we're going through these things, our faith is really challenged. And so it's important to figure out where you are spiritually and start healing your spirit as well, whatever that looks like for you. For me, is walks and journaling and prayer and meditation. Those are my spirit healing practices.
Yeah.
Yes.
Absolutely. And I agree with you. Most of the times when you're stressed, your body is going to reflect that. You're going to get tense. You're going to have pains in your neck and your body is you're going to feel really bad. And so making sure your mind, body, and spirit is in alignment, having that quiet time, maybe today you do a walk. Maybe tomorrow you do some journaling. Maybe the day after that you plan your meals. You say, I'm going to do a meal prep for a couple of days. Those things, when you have those things in alignment, it helps the healing journey as you pour more into yourself with the self-care.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm glad you said that about like the meals and everything because we want to start creating new routines and rituals that support us as we're healing, right? So maybe it is a walk, maybe it's journaling, finding the things that really feed our souls. And we're all different. So what works for your girlfriend might not work for you. You have to find out what really speaks to you. I'm telling you, a walk in the park is therapy for me. That's me, right? That's just what works for me. But you have to really start looking and listening to yourself and really, sit with yourself. Sometimes journaling can be really good to even start uncovering what it is you're feeling. Start writing down. I started writing down what are the things that really bring me joy because we have to be proactive in that. If we don't do it, it's not going to just land in our lap. A walk's not just going to appear suddenly for me to take. I have to make the time to go do those things. My daughter had a really good idea. She has a solo date jar. And in the jar are all these things that she loves to do. And once a week, or maybe when she's just really having a rough time, she'll pick out from that jar things that she can do that really make a difference for her and put her in a better place.
Oh, I love that.
Oh,
Oh,
yeah.
I love that because it reminds you to pour into yourself. It reminds you. So it's not like before you grab that cookie, you grab your jar, you say, you know what, I want to do something nice for myself. I need to pour into myself. Like when you talk about your bucket, that made me
Mhm.
think about that instantly
Mhm.
and pouring into yourself. So yeah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. And then finally, we want to make sure that we seek out support. Sometimes we do want some alone time to really just self-reflect and have that quiet time. But sometimes we need community and whatever that looks like for you. You have a really good friend who you can just tell, look, I just need you to listen right now. I just need to unload what's on my mind and on my heart. Or sometimes you need a friend that you actually want some advice from. You get to decide what that looks like for you and decide when you need alone time and when you need some community because a lot of times we're taught to just suffer in silence and we feel uncomfortable being vulnerable in front of each other. But it's so important to have that support when you're going through something because every now and then someone could really just introduce something you hadn't quite thought of. They might have a different perspective on what it is that you're sharing with them. And it's good to sometimes get another thought. That's all it can be helpful sometimes, but it's important that you find people that you really trust with that type of conversation.
Oh yeah, definitely. Community helps. Having that sister girlfriend or that support circle that will tell you what you need to hear, not what you want to hear.
Right,
It's gonna say,
right.
"Girl, okay, now you've been
Yeah.
for a little bit. Are you writing in your journal? Are you taking them walks? What are you
Mhm.
doing? Are you
Right.
drinking your water?"
Yep, that's right.
They gonna tell you those things, and it's so that's that support you need to get you over that hump.
Mhm, mhm, I agree. I do.
So now that we've gotten some practical healing steps, now it's time for us to start reclaiming our power. One of the first things that we gonna talk about it, and when I even think about it, it just excites me, is setting new boundaries. Protect your peace every single time. When you've been hurt and you've done the work to kind of get back on track and figure out who you are now, learn those lessons. Now you need to say, okay, where I'm at now, it feels good. Protect that. That means now it's time for you to guard that. Put a wall around that piece and say, this is a non negotiable. I'm
Mhm.
not going to allow certain things to happen now because I know how it feels not to be in peace. Because I'm feeling good now, I want to stay in this peace. So you have to set those boundaries every single time. And it's going to be uncomfortable at first, and it's going to hurt some people's feelings. But you have to set those boundaries in order for you to continue to heal and continue to grow.
Yeah, and Charisse and I already have it planned. We have a whole episode coming up on boundaries because it's huge. And it's a huge step also for us. First of all, it's uncomfortable. Second of all, it's not something we really have been taught how to do. A lot of us, at least I know I wasn't. And third of all, it was required. It is required for us to have healthy relationships. Boundaries are absolutely required. And there's a whole set of things that go along with that, like understanding what your values are that help you determine what your boundaries are. Like I said, we'll have a whole
Yes.
episode just
Yes.
on that. So stay tuned.
Yes. And then we talk about redefining what love and success looks like. So you doing the work, it's okay to change your mind and your standards. You
Mhm.
may have gone in, before that relationship and you were thinking a whole different way, and now you've learned some lessons. It's okay to change what your standards are because as you grow and you get better at knowing who you are, what you want and what you don't like, you're going to change the standard of the people you have around you and the
Mhm.
relationships that you build. It's just going to change. And guess what? You may change it again, as your healing journey continues, because you're learning more about yourself. You're
Mhm.
practicing more self-care. You're having more quiet time to really work on you and get in alignment with your mind, body, and spirit. So the things that you set around yourself are going to change. The standard is going to be higher because the things that you would accept in the past, you're not doing that anymore.
Yeah, and we're different. Like we were just talking about, we change, we grow, we expand. And for me, what was important to me in relationships before is not important anymore. I've been there, done that. I've had the love of my life. I've had, a man that I enjoyed raising our children with and building that life. I've had different experiences. I'm at a different stage of my life right now. I want someone who's ready to roll and travel and, little excitement in there, who I can have amazing, long and engaging conversation with, so it looks different, as we grow. And it's okay. It's okay. But sit down and be clear about it, right? Still understand that let me take stock. Let me see, have my desires or my requirements changed?
And it's so funny you say that because, like, with this dating thing, you're absolutely correct. I've been in love. I've been loved. I've raised my children with a wonderful man. I've, been married and had relationship with someone that cared about me deeply. I'm ready to travel now. I'm not that person anymore. I'm not a mom sitting at home raising children. That stage of my life is over. I'm
Mhm.
not in different stages. You grow and you want to experience different things. So now I want to experience, well, let's go, let's do, let's be everything. I want to have exuberating fun, that gut
Yes.
wrenching laugh. I want that
Yeah.
because it feels so good. Think about like when you with your girlfriend and y'all laugh about something, you laugh so hard that you almost
Right,
pee. You know what I'm
right.
saying? And you can't stop laughing. And it's the best feeling in the world. The best. So
Mhm,
that's when your standards change, you want something different. You want to feel that.
mhm, mhm.
And we talk about, well, you have to, when you changing those standards, think about embracing the comeback mindset. You're going to come back bigger and better. Your bounce back game is strong. You have to put that in your mind like, look, I'm all that in a bag of chips. So
Yeah.
I'm going to get bigger. I'm going to get all the things I want. I'm manifesting this relationship, this life, and I'm going to get everything I want. And you got to show that. You got to show the world that that's what you're about. And it comes with those boundaries that you said, and redefining what it looks like for you, because then it will show in the way you walk, in the way, the confidence that you exude.
Yeah, and don't skip the steps. You don't get to be the comeback day one. No, no, that's false. That's that false positivity out there, right? You don't want that. You the comeback after you've done your work, because then you really are. We don't want to be resilient just for the sake of being resilient. No, we want to be resilient because we actually have built the strength and we've built ourselves back up after we fell down. And then we're good again.
Yeah, yeah. And here are a few affirmations that you can use, and you can tweak it the way you want to or change things around. But here are some suggestions that we give just so you can get started with something to pour back into yourself. I am worthy of love, including my own. My pain does not define me, my healing does. I am rebuilding stronger, wiser, and more powerful than ever.
Mm,
And you can, I love it. You can say these as often as needed to get you growing into your healing. And I say, when you have those moments where you are feeling a little low or you feeling depleted, have an affirmation that you go to that's going to pour back into you instantly and give you some energy to move on.
yeah. And like Charisse said, if those don't work for you, that's fine. But find something that really does, something that resonates and gets you excited and actually lands like, yeah. Because when you have that, when you have an affirmation that really lands, you feel that. You can feel it. It just kind of settles in your heart and you feel it in your heart. So find one or several that do.
Yeah, definitely.
So, as usual, we always have a call to action for you. So, this week's assignment is to write yourself a love letter and remind yourself of all of your beauty and your strength, your worth, all the wonderful things that there are about yourself. Remind yourself of this. It's so important for us to remember. I've never written myself a love letter. This is a new concept for me, really. Yeah, no. And it's funny that we're talking about it because, again, my daughter, she's really smart. She actually has this little box of love letters. She writes herself little love letters, but whatever works for you. But the thing is, it gives you the opportunity to lay down on paper just beautiful things that you can then read later, come back to, just to remind yourself because life is going to be lifing and you're going to get knocked down again, and it's okay. But if you have something like what we've been talking about throughout this episode, things like this will help you to heal your heart and be able to move forward. So, little things like this make it clear that you don't need anyone's permission to heal, love, and thrive because you got this.
And I love, 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 love that your daughter is practicing self-love. One thing I can say about this generation, this younger generation, they are really feeling the feelings,
Mm-hmm.
really get in tune with their feelings. And I love that. And I have to honestly say, no, because we are in a journey and we've done certain things and the healing process for ourselves, that our daughters have seen those things.
Mm-hmm.
It allows them to tap more into themselves early, and
Yeah.
that, as time goes on, they're able to see the importance of pouring into themselves and
Mm-hmm.
self-care and loving on themselves. Now, I think that's so beautiful. Your daughter is that's just wonderful. A box of love, she on point. I love that.
It's really sweet.
Yourself, girl. I love it. And as always, share your journey with us using the hashtag Dream Heal Thrive. We want to celebrate your healing and your power.
Yes, yes, yes. And if this episode resonates with you, please don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. And please share this with someone who needs a reminder that heartbreak isn't the end. It's just the beginning for a new and powerful chapter in their lives.
Here's to dreaming, healing, and thriving. See you next time. Bye.